Thank you all for coming this afternoon. I should imagine that many of you have already read things like The Secret. Would that be right? Yep. The 7 Spiritual Laws for Success. Have you done that one? Carol and Mice, Anatomy of the Spirit. How to Make Perfect Lemonade Scones. On behalf of Joan, I'd like to welcome you all here for her official Australian book launch of what is a masterpiece. And there are copies here on the table, and later Joan will, of course, autograph those for you. She'll sign them, actually. Well, you all know Joan, I'd say, because many will have already been to see her at some stage for some insightful readings. How many people have gone to Joan for a reading? How many have gone many times for a reading? Outwardly, really. How many have been to workshops? There were me too, yeah? Outwardly, there's nothing extraordinary about Joan Miller. But since an early age, of course, she's experienced an insight that eventually led Joan to explore the spirit world. How many gathered here today have found that her readings have been very accurate? Good. You've made return visits, that's good. Well, Joan believes we all have inborn psychic ability. However, we don't always recognise it and try to develop it. Her personal journey in life is documented in this book, and it's well delivered too. The University of Life and How I Graduated for Free. I have read the book. It consists of 304 pages. Now, Joan survived, she mastered, she rose above a life as a child, a young woman and a mother. From circumstances that you must read to totally understand about Joan's life, with strength, resilience and determination through very vivid, hideous incidences and obstacles to eventually rise above it all and submit to her own spiritual development. To this very day, I like the last words that Joan wrote in her book. I live in the now, I remember the past, and I dream of the future. She's a unique woman, do you all agree? Yes, I do too. There are many others who may follow the same path. However, there is only one Joan Miller, and it is my pleasure, my utmost pleasure, to introduce this woman who I call my friend over many decades. Please put your hands together and welcome Joan Miller.
Thank you, everybody. It's just a pleasure to get you all here. Many of you I've known for close to 40 years, around about that. It's telling our age, isn't it, Brian? First of all, I'd like to read a channeled poem for the traditional owners of this land. I was looking for another one for a bundjalung, but this one came up, so. For the original owners, when white men came to our shores, we stood in fear of their strange new laws. But we are one, not 2 or 3. We are one Aborigine. First people we of this magic land, Australia, or Gondwana land. The spirit's strong, timeless as the seas. Timeless as our people, Aborigine. This land's our mother. We will share it all with those who listen to our call. Join with us now if it's to be. Embrace our culture, Aborigine. There is no colour, there's no creed, there's no injustice, and there's no greed. When Mother Earth loves you and me, unites us all, Aborigine. And at one stage in my book, you'll read a special part of my life in my late 20s, early 30s. I lived in New Guinea, and that was the most wonderful time amongst my native friends there who initiated me into the tribe. So I really am a New Guinean too, like the tribal papers. I went to bed fairly early last night because I had a busy week. And the Spirit woke me up at 12:30 a.m. this morning, as they do, channeled this poem through. I'd like to read to you. To all who've gathered here today, united by one life, one book, take heed and nurture every day. give gratitude, enjoy and pray. Be pleased to help your fellow man or woman, child, that's God's plan. Till thine own self be ever true, look to the rainbows, coloured hue. Though karmic lessons can be hard, just conquering is life's reward. And sunshine always follows rain to cheer the soul to smile again. In life our learning's never done until we find the kingdom come. So join with me, let's celebrate. Life's university is great. There's a little poem here I'd like to get Nature's Retrieval. This is a special poem I'd like to read to you because I had no idea I was psychic when I was younger. And after some pretty horrific stuff in my late 30s, birth of a fifth baby, hysterectomy, marriage breakup, everything, my psychic came out and I had no idea. I thought the voice in my head was my thoughts. Until I started to channel poetry through words I had to look up in a dictionary. Now, you know, I did very well at school, but still when I got words like sacrosanct, I had no idea what the word sacrosanct meant. And when this happened a number of times, I realised that the voice in my head was coming from somewhere else. It was from spirit guides, angels, I see them all. So this is a poem that's been very special to me, and there's a few copies I found on the table there if you'd like to help yourself, called Nature's Cathedral. I do not need a church to pray, no bricks and mortar tiles of clay, no water table cloth of white, no golden chalice candlelight. Carpeted aisles with carved pews flanked don't make my prayers more sacrosanct. For God is with me every day, in every place, in every way. Through relaxation and through chore, He is before me evermore. The whole world is the church of God, from tallest tree to greenest sod. The trees and mountains form the walls, the flowers and green grass deck the halls. White clouds on high, the altar set, sun's rays feeding light to chalice. Yet no candles, but when falls the night, profuses of stars to lend their light. So, when I won 50,000 on Millionaire Hot Seat, about 5 years ago now, I had the ability to travel around to some of the ancient cultures of the world, and apart from living amongst natives in New Guinea, it was wonderful to see how other cultures live. Then I travelled through Europe and England, Italy and Sicily, huge majestic cathedrals full of gold and jewels, and the difference between these cultures is so vast, so vast. I actually wrote to the Pope and in very nice words asked him when was he going to have a garage sale and treat the poor. This is all about, you know, if it can help another person along the way, that's what it's all about, you know. And this book has been a 30-year gestation. A friend of mine who's been a friend for 40 years, not very well at present, she apologised, she wasn't well to come. She kept saying, "You'll never write that bloody book, you'll never get it written." So I delivered a copy to her and to Libby, and she's read it and put a lovely thing on, I think in Utopia, where you put, you know, you put in how you feel about it, what you thought about, you know. So it's just great to be able to share my life with so many people as I have. And, you know, we'll get older, or some of us get grey or white, or we're going to go to the dive up like me. But with age brings wisdom and experience. I don't worry anymore. If I can't figure things out, I just say, que sera, sera, whatever it will be. Worry gets you nowhere, it makes you ill. You know, I've studied different modalities on a medical basis for years, and I'm more that way than doctor drugs. And if we can find a little bit of space each day, which each day I hypnotise myself for about 45 minutes, and it just shuts off the mind, shuts off all the busy in the mind, and I feel that's one of the secrets to being able to live a good long life. So, yeah. What else can we talk about?
Now, how many people have read this book already? halfway through.
Would you like to direct some questions about what you read to Joan while she's here? Anyone have any questions about the book?
Well, the first part, I dedicated the book to my mother's mother, my maternal grandmother, Louisa Daisy. She heard voices and saw people in her 50s. Her marriage had broken up, she'd gone through a bad time, which most times it's a trauma that triggers off a psychic or spiritual emergence, right? And she was in a park, sitting in a park down in Donnell, it's near St Kilda. And somebody reported to the police a woman sitting there with boxes next to her on the lawn. And the policeman asked her what she was doing, and she said, I'm just waiting for guidance from a higher order. And he said, what do you mean? She said, God's telling me what to do. So they locked up in what's called a lunatic asylum and gave her shock treatment for 10 years. Now, a surrogate son of mine down in Adelaide was living in Victoria a few years ago, and he took me to the Ararat Lunatic Asylum, which is now on ghost tours. And 70 years later, my grandmother's spirit was still there, along with many other spirits. And I was able to that night release her, say, you can just stay here, you can go. So after my spiritual emergence and my psychic came out, I started to be able to pick up for a few friends different things. And I was taken to a clairvoyant in Brisbane. He said, you're very psychic yourself, dear. I said, well, that's what I've been told. So at the time I was a single mum and needed money, and she threw me head first into a tea lounge in Brisbane, the Tiki Tea Lounge. And I got 30 cents a cup for readings. I didn't read tea leaves, I picked up the vibrations. So I read there for a while, and I picked up my clientele through there. And I was looking for a house to rent between selling homes. And a lady came one day and she said, you look very worried dear, what's the matter? I said, oh Mary, I've got to rent a home for me and the kids. So she said, I've got a house. So it was a lovely, great big house in Holland Park with a flat to sublet and an office downstairs. So that was a really good settling point for me in that house in Brisbane. Before, when I got my divorce money, I said my prayers and I said, what am I meant to do with this money? And the voice I call the voice of God, which has guided me all my life, said, put an ad in the Lismore newspaper and buy some land close to Mount Warning. So I rang the Chamber of Commerce in Lismore and I said, what's the name of the newspaper? And they said, the Northern Star. So I put an ad in, wanted to buy a small acreage close to Mount Warning. And people answered me and they said, come and see us, we've bought 300 acres. You know what it says? 300, and you live next door. 300 acres, and they were in a bit of financial problem. They hadn't sold property in Brisbane, they thought they'd sold. So I had $9,000. Sounds ridiculous these days, doesn't it? So I gave them $4,500 to subdivide. And when the subdivided people came in, the smallest they could cut off was 10.5 acres. So I got 10.5 acres of beautiful land with a spring factory put me in Mount Warning for $9,000. And that started me at Mount Burrell. So that's where a lot of my friends here today come from Mount Burrell's story. And it's my big dream, although I love my home in Ballina, it's my big dream to go back and live at Mount Burrell. Not just scattering my ashes when I carpet, I want to go back physically and feed the wallabies and live on the property I love again, Mount Warning. I hold on to the belief that it will happen. If you've got a dream, you've got to have a dream, and you've got to feed your dream with positivity. You don't doubt yourself. You never get anywhere if you doubt yourself. Many years as a top flight secretary, I'll go for a job and they'd say, can you use it? And I go, well, I think I can, I'll have a go, and this is it, having a go. I've done I've been a secretary, I've been a barmaid, I had a bobcat business, I drove a bobcat and fell in love with my bobcat. Broke my heart when I had to sell the bobcat. And I've been a Clairvoyant medium now for 44 years. But I've met some wonderful people in that time. And as a medium, a telephone to people who pass into the other dimensions, the spirit, it's been a wonderful privilege and opportunity to be able to read for those people and to bring them comfort. And that's been, I think that's been one of the nicest parts of my work. Like I've married people, I've buried, I've done funerals, I've done baptisms. I choose, although I've been an ordained minister now since 1992 as a Christian spiritual church, I choose not to wear a label these days. We're all sparks of God, we're all children of God, black, yellow, red, all of us. And to differentiate yourself from another person is saying, hey, you're not as good as me. So I don't do that. I'm just a spark of God. Even when I ran the spiritual church for many years, I never wore my stole unless I was doing something official. But now it's just Joan trying to retire but not running fast enough. Successfully writing a book, and now I have a children's book that I wrote nearly 30 years ago. That the wonderful artist in Bulgaria who did the cover of my book, very clever girl, Ballina, and my author Linda got her for me, started to do some preliminary sketches of the little characters of positivity and negativeness from my children's book. So she got a bit overwhelmed, but she's done the groundwork for me to be able to carry on. So that probably will be the next book, followed by one about New Guinea. Maybe followed by the changes that are happening in the world so quickly. The world is changing so rapidly. I bought a new phone in Officeworks the other week. I was paying with cash and everybody's paying with cards. And they're looking at me paying with cash, and I said, yeah. By the time I buy, I'm going to be cremated. So they'll probably start the fire with it. And somebody said, no, it's made of plastic. So Linda, would you like to come and say a few words? Oh, come on, Sam. Linda's my publisher, and Linda's been a great help with her crew. She has an editor called Charlie, who I thought Charlie was a guy for a while, until I said, you're a lovely man, and she said, no, I'm a girl. So I called Charlie Girl. And we've had Donnie who did the artwork, and the other one is another editor. So everybody, this is Linda, who's helped get this baby born.
And welcoming Joan and being here for her is really appreciated. She's done a marvellous job, absolutely fantastic. Beautiful lady to work with. Couldn't have been better. Absolutely fantastic. I don't really have a lot to say because I don't really talk about it. But all I can say is I just hope that you will enjoy the book if you're hoping to buy one. It is a fantastic story. It's compelling. Exactly what is compelling to read. You can't run everybody down. It's written in such a way that it's just matter of fact. It's all matter of fact. It's nothing cringy. It's all matter of fact. Really, really good to read. And I hope you will enjoy it. And I hope you write one time sometime too.
Linda Lyson is from Aurora House International Book Publishers and was responsible for publishing this book. Now, I've been asked to read to you a section of Joan's book, which I'm going to do this. You have a seat there, Joan.
I haven't worn high heels for a few years. You're going to be flashed.
Okay, this is page 200, and it starts on page 200. In my 50s, I encountered a situation that compelled me to seek a place of peace and isolation for a few days. A few years before, I had read for a man who, although he had presented incognito, I intuitively knew was a Catholic priest. He was a beautiful soul and listened intently to a message from his deceased aunt, telling him of a spiritual retreat he would build. This retreat did come to pass. I phoned the priest, asking if a broad-minded non-Catholic would be welcome at his retreat. Alas, all of the regular cabins were full, so he offered me the use of his own humble retreat deep in a rainforest. 2 priests drove me in a 4-wheel drive vehicle along tracks in a rainforest, finally stopping in a tiny corrugated iron hut close to a magnificent waterfall. The bed was built of chicken wire strung between chunks of logs. There was a fireplace made of corrugated iron, and the only method of lighting was from a gas light. The priest questioned me as to whether I would fear being alone, to which I answered that I was never alone as long as God was with me. He then assured me that I would probably have the company of a mouse. Darkness falls very early in a rainforest. I tried again to light the gas lamp. From the dark recesses of my memory sprung pictures of a teenage friend trying to light a kerosene lamp, spilling kerosene and fire across the floor of her parents' temporary dwelling. In the fragile state I was in, I allowed fear to win. I decided to retire to bed early. The next afternoon, as darkness ensured, I again attempted to light the gas lamp. After a few frustrating attempts, I sat down and cried out to Spirit for help. Instantly to my mind sprang the following: how can you expect to become enlightened if you can't even light the lamp? True, courage to overcome fear eventually got the lamp lit. By lamplight I cooked myself a meal on the fire, then sat and watched a small mouse as it explored the cabin. For those of you who have visited one of the Disneyland parks, you will understand the feeling of exuberance that I felt when I visited Disneyland, first at age 60, then again at age 80. For those days I was a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old, and yet Walt Disney, the dear man who created these extravaganzas, was fired from a newspaper job for lacking imagination and having no original ideas. Had he allowed fear to triumph, millions of people, both children and adults, would not have enjoyed his most wonderful creations. And in the words of Albert Einstein, stay away from negative people. They have a problem for every solution. Did you like that excerpt from my book? Joan has very generously enabled us to have a lucky door ticket, which Angela will hand out to you. Did anyone get one name?